Hi, everyone, and welcome to StudioJake. I, of course, am your host, Jacob Airy. Thank you so much for joining me today. And, I kind of had a reason to be excited. And, when it comes to film, this is my vidcast. I talk about film, I talk about anime, I talk about novels, music, video games, sometimes, all kinds of topics. And one of my favorite kind of new characters, I should say new version character, is Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes. I like him in Teen Titans. I like him in Justice League. I think it's Justice League of America he was in when they brought him in the New 52, also part of Young Justice. And I always thought he was a cool character. Now, of course, they had the original Blue Beetle, who was more like a hard boiled kind of pulp character. Then, of course, there was Ted Kord of Kord Industries. He was very similar to Bruce Wayne, just more bright and sunny. He had all these really cool gadgets. Well, then Jaime Reyes comes along, and he gets connected to the scarab that gave the first Blue Beetle and the second Blue Beetle all the cool tech they had. And Jaime actually was able to activate it fully because he kind of merged with it, and then he kind of gave him this really cool battle suit where he can produce weapons in different forms and stuff like that. He's actually a really cool, neat character. And I normally, this he was created back in the time when legacy characters weren't treated as tokenizations. He was well written, well rounded, had a lot of depth. His especially if you watch the DC AMU, they really did a good job of bringing him to light there, and in the Young Justice as well. Just really neat, cool character. However, uh, they, of course, are bringing him into the live action fold of the new DCU. Can't see DC Shared Universe or DC Universe or whatever. Or, well, it is DC Universe, sorry. My point is, they're going to bring him into this fold. Now, I was holding out hope because, he is a cool character. He is a neat character. But as I was on with Jester Bell, I kind of defended the film because a trailer hadn't dropped yet when we were talking about it. Well, then the trailer finally dropped this week, and what do we see? Some really awesome action sequences, really great setup. Seems like it's honoring Jaime Reyes's sort of family dynamic. We get to see scenes from Kord Industries, so good for them for honoring Ted Kord. Of course, we haven't seen the movie yet, but nothing from the trailer indicated that they were going to make Ted Kord the villain. And then the last scene of the trailer happens. Comes up Blue Beetle coming soon and all that. George Lopez is in the movie, and there's a scene where they're on the Blue Beetle's aircraft, I don't know what to call it. And George Lopez is there. I think he's playing Jaime's grandfather. And Jaime says, "Whoa, check out all this cool tech. It's got to be something similar to what Batman has." And then George Lopez's character says, "Batman's a fascist." And just like that, all my excitement for this movie deflated. Now, as everyone knows, Batman is my favorite superhero. I've often said that if Batman was in the Marvel universe, I would be all Marvel. But because I would tend to like Marvel comics, pre TDS days, more so than DC Comics. Comics require, holds on to more of a fantasy element, whereas Marvel it's more into science fiction. Now, both sides, I'm not saying that as, absolutes. Obviously, both companies dive into both aspects of fiction. But I tend to like Marvel better. I like Spider-Man. He's my second favorite character. I love the Avengers. And if Batman was in Marvel, I would be all Marvel, just being honest. I like Superman and Wonder Woman, all the basics, but still. Batman is what keeps me grounded in the DC universe. And you can make fun of Batman. People have. Think about the 60s Batman, right? They made fun of sort of the cliches that were in Batman comics prior to the 60s. Adam West portrayed a more Boy Scout version of Batman as he was seen in the comic books at the time. Also, Batman the Brave and the Bold, the animated series, they often poke jokes at different aspects of Batman's canon, all in good taste, all in good fun. Same with Justice League Action. There was a lot of Batman humor brought in that is really funny. But where's and this joke about Batman being a fascist just deflated me. Now, I actually responded to James Gunn on Twitter because he retweeted the trailer, and you know I expressed my disappointment in it, and he also retweeted the trailer. Also tweeted my disappointment. Now, a few of the DC ride or dies, which I used to be one. I don't really blame them, but just how DC, geez, has gone off the path. They were like, Jacob, it's just a joke. Why are you whining about it? It's just a joke. Oh my gosh, it's just a joke. What's the joke? With all the previous entries that I stated, where they kind of poked fun at Batman, even made fun of him a little bit, the joke. There was always a punchline to the jokes. What's the joke in saying Batman's a fascist? There is no joke. This was just done to put down Batman, who right now is the only top-selling title that DC has. Now, because they've changed, because comic books have been doing so poorly, places like Comic-Con that track the sales of comics have really lowered the bar on what constitutes a best-selling comic. And right now, Batman is really the only comic book that is selling, the only comic book title that is selling. So instead of trying to produce a good Blue Beetle movie, they're going to smash Batman and and turn him into a joke instead of telling a joke about Batman. It's annoying that they do this. They don't need to put down Jaime Reyes they don't need to put down Bruce Wayne to lift Jaime Reyes. You don't need one with the other. They could have just lifted up Jaime Reyes, right? That's all they had to do. This is so annoying. It is creatively bankrupt. I don't know why Marvel and DC are doing this. No one wants to see the legacy characters get put down to be buried, to lift up a bunch of new characters. No one wants to see that. Jaime Reyes was good on his own. He didn't need to put down Batman. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with telling a joke about a character, but it has to be funny. What's the joke in saying Batman's a fascist? What's the punchline? What is that great comic genius there? Is it just because it's George Lopez, who who hasn't been able to keep a TV show since Lopez Tonight? What is the joke? I don't get it, and I quite frankly, I think the people who are defending the line don't actually get it either. See, this is what happens when you base all your hirings on some politically correct guideline that some overeducated, more than likely white person came up with, who votes, down party line instead of for principles. This is what happens. You get a bunch of people who don't know what humor is, who think, we have to make Jaime look cool, so let's put down Batman. Let's put in a line about him being a fascist. Oh my gosh, isn't that so funny? What's the joke? There is no joke. People don't know what comedy is. Norm Macdonald was the best about this. Even his lame jokes got a chuckle out of you. It's just a fact. And, maybe some people didn't find him funny. Those people are wrong, and that's okay. But my whole point is, this is what happens when you don't hire based on merit. When you hire a bunch of people based on political correctness, based on woke ideology, based on ESG, instead of can they write good dialogue or good stories. That is what is happening. And James Gunn and Peter Safran better right this ship. We were promised a whole bunch of new material, a whole new direction, which, the DC films needed to get away from the Snyderverse, that dark, demented, depressing nonsense. And so I'm expecting this to be to be righted. But instead, James Gunn and Peter Safran are completely dropping the ball. And people said, "Oh, but this project was greenlit before James Gunn even took it over." He is the co-CEO of DC Films. Nothing gets past him. The fact that he's spraying it all over his Twitter page proves this. He is involved, and it's naive to think otherwise. I mean, think about it. They were slashing stuff before they even hired them, stuff that had been approved. So don't give me that. It was approved beforehand. It's not true. Just shows the sad state that Warner Brothers Discovery is in when they have to push all this lame nonsense in regards to their greatest characters. It is an embarrassment, and quite frankly, I don't think this film is going to do good. And of course, they're going to blame, oh, you just don't want to see a Mexican superhero. You just don't want to see a Hispanic superhero. Oh, Latinx. Let me tell you something. I'm married into a Mexican family. They consider Latinx a slur invented by a bunch of white Ivy Leaguers. They don't ever use it. None of them do. They use Latina or Hispanic or Latino. There is no Latinx. I'm glad Hollywood is kind of starting to drop that nonsense, but that won't stop this narrative of, oh, you just hate it because this character isn't, or this character doesn't lack a certain amount of melanin. No, Jaime Reyes is a popular comic book character, and it is stupid and ridiculous that they are tokenizing him to use him to put down their other heroes. It's unnecessary, it's unwarranted, and it's time for this nonsense to stop. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up, that you'll leave me a comment and tell me what you think, that you'll share it out with your friends, and of course, consider subscribing to StudioJake. I cover all kinds of nerd and pop culture topics, including film, television, anime, comic books, and so much more. I hope that you'll also head over to my main website, StudioJakeMedia.com, where I have even more news, views, and commentary. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, head over to my locals page. That's studiojakemedia.locals.com. It's the best way to support me. I'm trying to build a little community there. I have exclusive reviews and articles, so definitely head over there and check it out. And I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.